The Hilleberg Helags is the newest addition to the Hilleberg tents as of 2021. The Helags is basically a yellow label Kaitum, which makes it a very exciting update. First thing I've noticed is just how light and thin the materials feel. I'm more used to the red label and black label tents from Hilleberg, so this was immediately noticeable. Let's have a look at the features and we'll come back to the materials later. So the Helags is a tunnel tent. It has 2 entrances and 2 vestibules. Both are located at the head and foot end of the tent. The vestibule door can be rolled away fully, and this is just a bit easier to do on the Helags compared to the Kaitum. Now let's look at the ventilation. Yellow label tents from Hilleberg keep their vents down to the ground and don't have any additional vents high up. The Hilleberg Helags is 220 centimeters long and the door walls are vertical, which is ideal for tall people. The tent is 140 wide at the center and 120 centimeters wide at the edges. Realistically, you would need 2 55 centimeters wide sleeping pads if you want to use it as a 2-person tent. The C2 Summit Etherlight XT large sleeping pad that I usually use is 64 centimeters wide and it's taking up most of the space. I'll let you decide if you think you can fit 2 people into this tent. On the inside, the tent has 4 pockets in the corners and it has a clothesline. There are 2 vestibules at the end and they're almost 100 centimeters long. That means you'll need 4 meters to set up the Helags. Let's have a closer look at the materials. Hilleberg uses Kerlon 1000 for their yellow label tents. This is a 20 denier fabric. The inner tent fabric is also thinner. It's 10D instead of 30D on the red label. The bathtub floor is 50D compared to the 70D on the red label and 100D on the black label. You'll also find that the zippers are lighter weight and the guidelines are 2 millimeters instead of 3 millimeters. This is a 2-person version. It weighs only 2.4 kilograms. That's the same weight as the Hilleberg Solo. The 3-person version weighs only 200 grams more. The tent itself is much larger than the Hilleberg Solo, although the pack size is roughly the same. The pegs that come with the tent are also a lighter version of the Y peg. So who is this tent for? Being a yellow label tent practically means that it's a summer version for snow-free conditions. You can use it in the snow, but not when it's actually snowing, because that could potentially block your ventilation. If you want even more breathability in this tent, you can buy the optional full mesh inner tent. I think for the Helags that's overkill because the tent is very breathable on its own. But it could be a nice option if you intend to use it on its own, like I often do with the Solo inner mesh. I'll link to that video in the description. As all Hilleberg tents, you can also double pole this tent, but if you find yourself needing to do that, you probably bought the wrong tent. Let's look at the pros and cons of the Hilleberg Helags. Looking at the pros, first of all, it's very lightweight. Second, it's great for tall people. And third, I would say it has great ventilation. So what are the cons? I think compared to the Kaitum, I'm missing the window, which is the upper vent. I like to use it just to be able to look outside. It's also great for regulating the airflow. The Kaitum has one more guideline in the front, which would provide you with some extra stability in the wind. But again, this is the version of the tent for not so harsh conditions. And maybe one downside of this tent would be the high price, which you'll find basically on all Hilleberg tents and especially the yellow label one. Oh, and by the way, the reason for that is apparently because it's more difficult to work with these very thin materials and takes more time, and therefore the price is higher. So currently the Helags is available as a 2-person and a 3-person tent. We haven't heard any rumors about the Helags GT version yet, but I think it will eventually happen. Hilleberg usually announces the new models a year before, so I wouldn't hold my breath if you're looking to get the GT version of this. Definitely won't be available in 2022, and my guess is 2025 at the earliest.